Hello, everybody. So, it's been about a little over a day since the mid-season patch. I'm just going to kind of talk about some of it, some suggestions, some other things that I've seen. Just going to kind of wing it. We'll see how long this ends up going for. So, let's start with carry. Right? I kind of want to get some, you know, false information, some false narratives out of the way here. So, carry is built more to try and help people progress from playing the game, right? It's just another way to be able to have some progression occur. So, CyberAcne has observed that coordinated crews of runners have demonstrated increased survival odds, right? They were hoping that with Cryo Archive, teams would kind of work together. They were hoping with Rooks, right, that Rooks would kind of be sort of taken under the wing, not just, instantly kill all the Rooks, or all the Rooks are just like, fighting each other. There was ideas here that were in play. Carry is to try and reinforce those ideas. So to get rid of a few of the little false narratives here, you do not get any commendations as a crew for exfilling with other players. It says it right here. For crews, you earn commendations for each contract objective that you assist your crewmate in completing. That's it. For solos, non-rook, right? Solos is non-rook. Rook is not solo. Okay, solos, non-fill. You earn commendations for each contract objective that you complete, and you get bonus commendations if you exfil with other players, right? In my opinion, really trying to lean into here, having solos be a little bit more, not as competitive and a little bit more, friendly, I guess I'll say. More casual. We'll go with that. For Rooks, you earn commendations, right, for successful exfills, and you get bonus commendations if you exfil with other players, right? Rook is the only one where it's like, okay, yeah, if I exfil with a crew, right, I get more commendations. That's trying to reinforce helping the Rooks extract and the Rook gameplay be a little bit more enticing. Okay? Carry in itself, right, is an amazing idea because it just gives you more armory access to be able to either buy like, reputation packs or specific salvage crates, limited stock weapons, right, that you might only find in armory or gun lockers, right? So the idea here is very good. Right? This is just overall related to carry. All right. If you guys think otherwise related to carry, just let me know. Comment below. Carry, in my opinion, very well done, especially because the commendations, right, and the armory, right, you get weapons that you may not be able to find, right, all that often, or you have another way to get superior key templates, right? Superior key templates originally really only from events or the bosses, and you had to get the shell IDs and then make the keys, right? And only like some events too. Very rare to get a purple key that wasn't cryo, right? So ideally, right, carry very good. Now let's go to new caloric, right? Armory changes that are here. So if we pull up, change here, let's go with this. All right. So signal jammers are now purchasable from the armory. You can buy 3 a day, right? Not too big of a deal. Icons for the cores, the implants, and the chips add visual clarity, right? It's pretty well done in my opinion. The chips do look a lot better, right? They kind of are more based on the type of chip that they are. The cores themselves, you don't even have to spend nearly as long. If you're like, okay, yeah, I don't need a leg implant. I like my leg implant, right? It's very obvious now, right? It wasn't as obvious before. It's very obvious now. Right? That's good. Just not having to spend as much time sitting there looking at loot or wondering, right? You just glance at it, you're like, boom, nope, I don't need a leg implant, I'm good. So here, we talked about Uni, that's fine, and the carry program. So rewards pass, whatever, everybody else has already read through everything. So The difference is here, right? Railgun now is amazing. Railgun's awesome. The Zeus needs to have its description changed. SMGs, essentially they buffed the non-bully SMGs, right? So they buffed Copperhead, they buffed the Burt. Right? Snipers, nerf to the long shot, definitely required. You actually have to like be a little bit more skilled now to use the long shot. Removing thermals, right? Hopefully they're working towards just removing all thermals from the game. You got to ease people into the idea. The blues are gone. Hopefully in another month the purples will be gone too. So here, Scar, right? Change the magazine timing. This was very niche. Like very surprised that they caught on to this. That's pretty awesome. Everything else, right? Chip mods were more team related. Circuit tracers nerf, just 40% at the superior tier, right? Kind of a indirect nerf to the bully meta. Now, this is where I sort of have suggestions, right? Depleted self-revive kits that only spawn during solo play. This is a very good idea. After the last day of like just messing around in solos, just kind of test things out, this was a very good idea. I like this. What they need to do though, is they need to make the mercy kits depleted. Don't have them in the armory. Do not have them purchasable. Have them be depleted and have them be solo only, or maybe solo and cryo archive and on the rook, right? Because the rook having a mercy kit, that's more for like keeping that rook gameplay going. Like you're like, I swung this corner, I didn't know it was going to be a rook, right? It's kind of what they have here, even with their note. Sometimes the de-escalation happens after the fight is over. We get it. Now you can make up for that quick trigger finger. You swing a corner, you're like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be another rook, but now the rook wants to also fight me because he doesn't want to be the one to die, but now we're both shooting at each other, and then it's like, fuck, right? Both of us are sitting here, like, okay, yeah, that sucks. So, I think the mercy kits should be on rooks. I think all of them should be depleted. It shouldn't just be a mercy kit, it should be a depleted mercy kit. And it should only be rooks, solo, and maybe cryo archive. Right? If people do want to be like, hey, you know, let's try and work on killing this boss together. There were a lot of people killing the compiler together. So I think then it would fill that niche as to what they're desiring. Do not think the mercy kit should be just purchasable in the armory and, you know, show up on the map, and rooks can leave with it as well. Now, self revives, they're getting really close, right? It's getting close to perfect. Self revive being superior, totally fine, right? What's going to happen is after 2-3 weeks, kind of consider it, right? Consider the future. Consider 2 or 3 weeks from now, when self revives are now out of people's vault, or consider after a wipe. Right, there's not going to be nearly as many self-revives. There's not going to be nearly as many bubbles, right, in the market, right, in the economy itself. So self-revive situation here is just going to take a couple of weeks. What I do think should happen, though, is after using a self-revive, you should get like a 2.5 minute cooldown. That's just it. You still shouldn't be able to come in and just spam 5 self-revives. Right? Some of you are like, oh, I don't understand, you know, the self-revive issue and what you guys are talking about. Just because you haven't got to experience it, right? When there's 3 teams and you hear 6 self-revives going off, right? And you're trying to keep track as to who's self-reviving or who, you're still having to fight other people, right? I said it before last month, right? It really should be, okay, this person is now out of the fight. They used their 1 self-revive. Their teammate now either has to help them and come out of their position to go and help them, or I know that they are out of the fight, right? There should be a 2.5 minute cooldown after you use a self-revive. If you want to come in with 10 self-revives, that's totally fine, but it should be a 2.5 minute cooldown after using a self-revive. So, or 2 minutes, whatever number, right? But there should be a cooldown after using a self-revive. Said it last month, right? Getting close, getting very close there. Implants, more group stuff, right? More group play, that's nice. The core changes here, the Assassin's Patience core, this was very niche. I'm incredibly surprised that they even acknowledged this. This is huge, right, for Assassins. It's very nice. Assassin's Patience Core now also requires you to be crouched to receive the timer pause benefit. This reduces accidental heat buildup from unintended activations. Just kind of explain there a little bit. The unintended activations were whenever you would enter any smoke at all, your own smoke, your prime, whatever, it would immediately activate this core and start to increase your heat, even though there was smoke there, right? And you didn't need it to be activated because your shroud was activated already because you were in the smoke. So this is very nice. This, everybody's complaining about Vandal's low profile core. This just felt like abusing a mechanic that shouldn't have been there anyway. So I feel like this isn't a nerf, right? A nerf is when, okay, yeah, we did intentionally mean for this to happen, but now we're gonna, not make it as good. This feels like abusing a mechanic that shouldn't have been there. That's fine in my opinion. Related to Recon. Recon changes are amazing. I played Recon all day yesterday. I was playing Recon before the changes, and I can see the considerable difference in her tracker drone, and you can't even complain at all about her pulse pings now. Her pulse before wasn't as good as the TAD, right? And that was just like horrible feeling. The TAD was better than the prime ability on Recon. But now, the prime ability is amazing. It's just, every team is going to need a Recon. She is now S+, which is fine with me, right? It means one less destroyer on your team. You shouldn't be running triage, double destroyer, or triple destroyer, right? The meta is garbage. Just the WSTR shotgun spam with destroyers and throwing grenades and bubble shields, it's garbage, right? You're not going to ever convince me otherwise. It's not a meta that should be in the game. It is not healthy gameplay, right? People just like using the WSTR shotgun because of the auto aim on it when you're using a controller. You don't even have to aim. It's ridiculous, right? So, yeah, now you might need a Recon and a triage, and then you get one destroyer. It's totally fine, right? But Recon is definitely going to be required. If you're not using a Recon, you're fucked. So, in my opinion, related to the shells, I don't think any of the shells need to be nerfed. I think, right, I've said this many times, but there's always that sort of nerf mentality in game development where it's just like, okay, well, let's bring this down, right? Like what they did with Recon is amazing. You bring the other ones up to match the level of the things that you felt like were overpowered, right? I don't think anything needs a nerf. If we're talking Vandal, right, I think people were expecting maybe more changes with Vandal. We'll have to see what happens. Maybe they do have more changes planned with Vandal. Me personally, I think there needs to be ideas for Vandal. I think Vandal's a hard one to sort of make changes to, or sort of like quote buff. I could see her super slide being like omnidirectional, or maybe you get to interrupt it in the middle of the slide and go a different direction. You don't get to stop it early and stop moving, right? If you interrupt it, you have to go a different direction, right? That would be really cool in my opinion, where it's like you get a half slide one direction and then you can half slide another direction. Sort of like what people almost do with Destroyer. But it feels real bad that Destroyer's movement is essentially better than Vandal's movement, right? Like she's the movement core, so you need to lean more into buffing her movement. If you guys have any other ideas, suggestions, feel free. It's kind of what I am sitting at with Vandal. I think during Amplify, she shouldn't generate heat at all. I'm gonna be honest. It feels real bad to be on a movement core and use your prime ability and like have to stand there and wait because you're like, okay, yeah, my heat's getting high, right? I feel like you personally shouldn't generate any heat during Amplify. Getting heat from other ways, the cascade, heat grenades, sell weapons, whatever. All that's fine. But I'm saying just from movement shouldn't generate heat during Amplify. I think that alone would be a massive buff to Vandal, especially if they were to do those two things. Right? The super slide kind of getting interrupted if you go another direction. You have to go another direction. You can't just interrupt it and stop it short. And then the Amplify not generating heat. So, Dire Marsh, in my opinion, there needs to be less teams on Dire Marsh. Maybe one less team, maybe two. The spawns are very, very bad on Dire Marsh. Sometimes you're just the odd team out and you don't see anybody and you're running the entire map trying to find where they're at. Sometimes you spawn next to a team and within 5 seconds you're fighting them. And you spawn in a spot that has no cover. And they spawn in a spot that had cover. Right? So it's like, I think there just needs to be less teams on Dire Marsh. Maybe not adjust the spawns, but just make one or two less teams. Outpost changes are nice. So here, my biggest thing, suggestion-wise, is I think the Mercy kit needs to be reevaluated, needs to just be a depleted kit. And I'm going to say it again, people aren't going to like it. I think the WSTR shotgun needs to just be removed from the game. I think you have 2 ballistic shotguns, and, you know, the Mizraya feels like healthy gameplay when you use the Mizraya, right? It feels like much better gameplay. If you want to keep the WSTR shotgun in the game, make it Rook only to lean into people playing Rook and actually, like, you know, having sort of an upper hand with the WSTR shotgun. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's on Rooks. You don't have to nerf it anymore. You just leave the shotgun alone. You make it Rook only. They don't get to leave the game with it. They don't get to use a matter fixative with it anymore. It's just Rook only, right? And they have to unlock it still all the same. But, you know, make it to where you only get to have it on Rook and it does not go into your vault. That still leans into the idea of like the Rook, you know, play style and trying to push people towards playing Rook a little bit more. Because then you really could lean into Rook and solo being more of the casual gameplay. Leave duos, trios alone. Not having the Mercy kit, right? Nothing like that. Because the game is very sweaty, and determining whether or not a game is competitive is very subjective. But in my opinion, Marathon's not competitive. Not yet, at least, right? The WSTR shotgun, the bubble shields, the grenade spam, none of that's competitive, right? It's not. It's a sweaty game for sure, where if you just like put in time and you have, you know, the credits or the ability to buy all of those things and just throw 20 grenades, then yeah, right, you're doing pretty good. But it's not competitive. So I still think there needs to be a limit or a restriction on the grenades. The armory is getting better, right? It's getting close. I think the other thing to consider too is everybody was in the beginning complaining about trying to do fill games and like coming in with gear and your teammates didn't have gear or they were using free kits, right? So if we go and we look at the event that started today, right, I was kind of mentioning this maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe a little longer, but if we're looking at the events, oh, it's not going to pop up here. Maybe it's down here. That's not going to swap it either. All right, well, there's a Dire Marsh event going that then removes them from the matchmaking pool, and then people that are doing duo fills or solo fills or whatever, they don't have to worry about their teammate having a free kit, right? If you're playing with free kit, you just get your own lobby, you go in, you do the sponsored lobby, right? And it doesn't have to be a rotating map. It could just be like a separate queue, and it's like, okay, yeah, sponsored kit, and boom, there you go. But it removes them from matchmaking and causing those other issues. And this event that's going on today, I think, is the answer for what people are looking for in terms of like actually getting to progress and not having to worry about the purple shield gamers, right? This is suggestion I made 3 weeks ago or more. So this is the answer, right? This event that's going on should bring people back to the game. If you want to go in and you want to farm the maps and you want to look for certain things and you want to be on an even playing field with every single other person that is in the lobby, gear-wise, right? You got your free kit spam. Come in here, farm some anomalies, boom. Right? You just only have to worry about it. It will make the game a lot more competitive because if you are queuing with gear, you're not just wiping free kits, right? You're not the one geared team in the lobby and all the other teams in the lobby are using free kits, right? That's boring gameplay, just isn't even interactive, right? Even the people using free kits, if they ping you or shoot you and see that you have purple shields, most of the time they just run. Most of the time they're like, yeah, purple shields, they're geared, just run, right? Like the purple shield is that line where it's like, okay, yeah, you know, this more than likely isn't going to happen. So this right here, very healthy for the game in both directions, in terms of competitiveness and in terms of casual game mode, right? If you just want to farm faction quests, do the free kit lobbies. They're going to be a lot easier to handle. This right here is the answer in every single extraction game. And I say it in every single extraction game I play, right? You just let the free kit individuals that are like, okay, yeah, well, I only want to do free kits today. Boom, here you go. You just do this. You're not hindering your teammates. You're not causing any issues. You're getting to work on your faction quests. You're finding random stuff in the maps. You're getting to play the maps more, right? Just have free kit lobbies be for every single lobby except for ranked and cryo archive, right? Last suggestion I would make related to cryo archive. There's a crazy meta in cryo archive that just makes it not even really worth playing. You should not be able to just get into other people's vaults and their wings and their spawns in less than a minute and a half and just wait for them. That just shouldn't be possible. When the very first time I played cryo archive, I assumed that you would need security level 1 to get out of your first door, security level 2 to get out of your second door, and then security level 3 to move on, right? And then so on and so forth. I think you should really consider implementing that, right? It will make it a lot healthier. People will be more interested in doing cryo archive. Right now, the people who haven't really got to play cryo archive too much or don't really know the map too much aren't going to be interested in and just going and feeding their loot to someone else, right? Just because they haven't got to experience it so much. I think of removing the ability to be able to just rush another team's vault in the first minute and a half of a game really needs to happen. And I think the easiest way to do that is, if I'm worried about security clearance, why can't I just walk up to the very first 2 doors and just hack them? Like what? Like why am I worried about security clearance? I can hack the first 2 doors. Like I can't hack the other doors? That makes no sense. Just make the security clearance required for every single door. That way people actually have to kill the UESC that are in their wing and gradually progress through and then meet in the middle and see who can do that fastest, right? It shouldn't be, okay, yeah, let's just rush the other team and, you know, camp their exit and beat them to it because we pressed the scanners on the wall and ran past everything. The other thing I suggested before, I'll suggest again, I think trying to lean more into the ammo crates would... A lot of people aren't going to like it at first. I think it would be healthier for the game, though. If you restrict the grenades, maybe put 1 grenade in an ammo crate, make it a random grenade based on the quality of the ammo crate. Ammo crates aren't used at all, but I don't know. I think there should be a lot more risk. Maybe I'm an outlier for this. I think there should be a lot more risk related to your ammo. I shouldn't be able to just drop some credits and go into a game with 1,000 ammo and not have any worries. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like having to conserve your ammo or having to actually fill your backpack with ammo crates and then actually use the item, it's there for a reason. Restrict the grenades to just your equipment slot and then make grenades in the ammo crates based on the quality of the crate. And you only get 1 grenade per ammo crate. Alright, still restrict it. The other thing that I'd still really like to see related to the grenades is You really gotta make the chem grenade and the EMP grenade do friendly fire damage. Should not have, you know, two destroyers that are just rushing me in melee range, and you have a triage in the back just throwing EMP grenades on top of his teammates, or chem grenades on top of his teammates, or chemtrailing the entire entrance, and they're like, "Are these your chem grenades?" And they're like, "Yeah, bro, they're my chem grenades." Okay, cool. Oh, I'm just gonna run over it and have no issues at all. I removed that section of the map from the other team, but now this team is still able to use it. Just treat it like a Molotov. Treat it like a Molotov in any other game. No, you're going to be affected by the chem. No, you're going to be affected by the EMP too. You shouldn't be able to just spam EMP grenades on top of your teammates and they still get to use their abilities while they're just in there fighting and using the WSTR shotgun. Also, last thing too, remove the WSTR shotgun from the game or make it Rook only. Use the Mizraya. It's a lot healthier. You guys can hate on it, but that's definitely what should be done. Make the game more competitive, right? The game is going a very good direction. Consider making the Mercy Kit depleted and solo lobbies only and Cryo Archive. I think that would be a very healthy direction for the game. Keep the free kit lobbies in. Make it to where if you're using a free kit, you can only do that lobby. And on the other lobbies if you're using a free kit. You guys disagree with any of my suggestions, right? Definitely. I know you'll let me know. I know you'll let me know. I'm not going to do 18, 20 shorts like I did last time. This will be the video. This is me ranting for 28 minutes as to what I think should happen. And we'll just have to see. I think we'll just have to see. But I think the event today is going a very good direction. Recon chances are very good. And I'm excited for the future of Marathon. Also, the other thing too is I noticed for sure on my end, and I know other people have talked about it, they definitely did some optimization changes. My FPS doesn't spike nearly as much and nearly as often either. My FPS kind of stays very steady on most of the maps now. So there's definitely been some optimization changes. I think you guys are making it happen. Hell yeah. Keep it up. Just don't go too casual. Separate the casual from what will hopefully be competitive. Not sweaty, competitive, right? It can be a sweaty competitive. Sweaty is boring. Competitive is where you go, right? So, hell yeah. Let's make it happen. Please.